All right, lesson 5 is Aas and HL. What that is that's angle side congruency and then hypotenuse leg congruency. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But your learning target is that you can apply and use Aas and HL congruency theorems to solve problems. All right, let's get going. So first we're going to talk about those theorems, and the first theorem is the angle sides theorem. That's AAS congruency. And if what that says is that if two angles in a non-enclosed side of a triangle is congruent to two angles in a non-enclosed side of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay? So what that looks like here is if we have a triangle, we've got angle, the other angle, and the side that's after those two angles. Okay, so it's not enclosed. It wouldn't be this angle. That would be angle, side, angle. We're talking about angle, and then a side after that. So it could be even JG and then line GH, angle, side. If those are congruent to corresponding parts of another triangle, then we have congruent triangles. Okay. Now hypotenuse leg, that's HL congruence. That deals with right angled triangles, only right angled triangles. And what that says is if the hypotenuse, remember the hypotenuse is the side that is across from the right angle, if the hypotenuse and a leg of a right triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and a leg of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay, so we've got hypotenuse, leg, if those are congruent to the corresponding parts of another right triangle, hypotenuse, leg, then those have to be congruent triangles. Okay, and then this last one I want to talk about real quick, that's angle side congruence. And if we were to put those as initials, we can see that that is absolutely naughty. That is a bad word, and we don't use that word. Therefore, angles side congruence, there's no such thing. That doesn't work. Okay, just remember that you can't do angle side congruence. All right, let's do example 1. All right, so example 1 says that we are given 3 pieces of information. We're given that angle X right here is congruent to angle V, so these are congruent. We're given that angle YZW, that's this angle right here, is congruent to angle YWZ, this opposite side. And we're also given that line XY, that's this line right here, is congruent to line VY, so this line over here. And we're trying to prove that this triangle XYZ over here is congruent to triangle VYW. Okay, so let's go through a 2-column proof. We've got statements and reasons, and the first thing that we're going to state is that first given, that angle X is congruent to angle Y. Or sorry, angle V. That's my fault. Angle V. Angle X is congruent to angle V. And the reason why we can say that is that's given information, okay? And we've already marked that here. We've got V and X. Those two angles are congruent. Okay, now let's do something else. We're still trying to get some more angles. We'll go ahead and use that second one that's given. That angle YZW is congruent to angle YWZ. Again, that's given information. Okay, that doesn't really help us though, because those angles are about this triangle that's on the inside. All right, so that alone doesn't help us. However, we know that this is a straight line through here, and if these are congruent, that means that these outside ones also have to be congruent because the full line makes up 180 degrees, right? Okay. Angle YZX is supplementary to angle YZW. Okay, and the reason for that is because that's what the definition of supplementary angles. Okay, we can do the same thing over here on the other side. We can say that angle YWV is supplementary to angle YWZ. Okay, again, that's the definition of supplementary angles. So then, therefore, based on that information, we can say that angle YZX is congruent to angle YWV. And the reason why we can state that is because those are supplementary theorem. That's the supplementary theorem. Okay? Congruent supplementary theorem. Alright, so now what we've just said then is that those angles are congruent, and based on that information then we can say that triangle XYZ is congruent to triangle VYW based on angle, side. Alright, example 2 says that we need to determine if we can use the HL congruence theorem to prove that the triangles are congruent, and if not, we need to tell what else we need to know. Okay, so if we look at this first triangle, we see that we have the right angle. That's the first part. We need the right angles to be able to prove HL congruence. And then we need the hypotenuse. We've got the hypotenuse on both sides. Remember, the hypotenuse is the angle or the side opposite the right angle. And we have a leg, right? Because this leg right through here is a shared leg. Therefore, yes, we can use the HL congruence theorem. Now, this second triangle over here, we see, okay, we've got the right angle. We've got a shared leg, corresponding legs, but we do not know that the hypotenuse is the same distance. Okay, we do not know anything about this hypotenuse. Therefore, no, we need to know the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. At least that's what I think. Alright, so that's it there for example 2. That's it for the whole entire lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. Study hard.